our next speaker is Professor John Gideon Hartnett, who has got some information against crimes against humanity. Now, are we ready to give him a big round of applause? Damn right we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in.
The current pandemic was produced and perpetuated by the deep state establishment through the use of a virus engineered in a PLA-connected Chinese bio-warfare laboratory with the aid of the American taxpayers' dollars and French expertise. This research was conducted under the absolutely ridiculous euphemism of gain-of-function research, which is supposedly carried out in order to determine which viruses have the highest potential for zoonotic spillover and to preemptively vaccinate or guard against them. Gain-of-function or gain-of-threat research, also known as dual-use research of concern, is bioweapon research by another friendlier sounding name, simply to avoid the taboo of calling it what it actually is. It has always been bioweapon research. People who are conducting this research fully understand that they are taking wild pathogens that are not infectious to humans and making them more infectious, often taking grants from military think tanks, encouraging them to do so. These virologists conducting this type of research are enemies of their fellow man. This, like pyromaniac firefighters, gain-of-function research has never protected anyone from any pandemic. In fact, it has now started one, meaning its utility for preventing pandemics is actually negative. It should have been banned globally, and the lunatics performing it should have been put in straitjackets and sent to the asylum a long time ago, either through a leak or intentional release from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. A SARS strain, deadly to aged and infirm people, is now endemic across the globe after the WHO and CDC and public officials first downplayed the risks and then intentionally incited a panic and lockdowns that jeopardise people's health and their livelihoods. Now those are the people who should be charged with incitement. The pandemic response was planned years ago. All they needed was an excuse. They failed with the earlier efforts, like with the so-called epidemics of H1N1, MERS, and the first SARS, but this one they could not let go to waste. They believe they can get away with this by weaponizing the social stigma of vaccine refusal, creating a new class called the unvaccinated. You see my star here? It says unvaxxed. I proudly joined the class of the unvaccinated. Their motives are clear and obvious to anyone who's been paying attention. These megalomaniacs have raided the pension funds of the free world. Wall Street is insolvent and has had an ongoing liquidity crisis since the end of 2019. The aim now is to exert total control, full spectrum physical, mental, financial control over humanity before we realise just how badly we've been extorted by these maniacs. They plan total control over those who survive the mass extermination over the next 4 years from these bioweapons called vaccines, in addition to the culling through engineered wars, engineered starvation, and more engineered diseases. All this started in 2020 with a goal of 95% depopulation of the world by 2025. This means digital identity for all. It will keep all your personal and health records, as well as control all your finances in a cashless society. It will mean total surveillance and loss of all bodily autonomy. You will have no freedom, but you will be relegated to a form of serfdom if we let them get away with it. The pandemic and its response served multiple purposes for the globalists, concealing a financial depression brought on by the usurious plunder of our economies by the rentier capitalists and absentee owners who produce absolutely nothing of any value to our society. Then these globalists and their stooges got to stand up on television and paint themselves as wise and all-powerful saviours instead of the marauding cabal of despicable land pirates that they are. 2, destroying small business and eroding the middle class, transferring trillions of dollars of wealth from the middle class into the pockets of billionaires and special interests. Engaging in insider trading, stock buying in biotech companies and shorting brick and mortar businesses and travel companies with the aim of collapsing face-to-face commerce, tourism and replacing it with e-commerce and servitization. That's modern slavery. That's the plan, while those billionaires get even richer. Creating a trigger for war with China, encouraging us to attack them, wasting our lives and treasure and driving us to the brink of nuclear Armageddon. Establishing technological and biosecurity frameworks like vaccine passports, digital identities, for population control, technocratic socialist smart cities where everyone's movements are despotically tracked, all in anticipation of widespread automation, joblessness and food shortages by using the false guise of a vaccine to compel cooperation. Any one of these things would constitute a vicious rape of Western society. Taken together, they beg a belief. They are a complete inversion of the most treasured values. It would have to be the biggest crime ever committed on mankind. What is the purpose of all this? To establish one satanic world, one world government and cashless society in their new world order. I assume you don't want to be part of that. The globalists are trying to erase the upward mobility of large segments of the population, cull political opponents and other undesirables. I think that's us. Like in Nazi Germany, they eliminated those considered life not worthy of life and put the remainder of humanity on a tight leash, rationing out access to certain goods and services that they deemed high impact, such as use of automobiles, tourism, meat consumption, and so on. Naturally, they will continue to have their own luxuries as part of the strict caste system akin to feudalism. Just like you saw in that movie series, The Hunger Games. Remember that one? The rich were well off, but everyone else was begging and fighting for food. We see this now already. One rule for them and another rule for us. Why aren't judges and politicians compelled to get vaxxed if the rest of the population are? Why are they doing this? Simple. The globalists are neo-Malthusians and believe that we are overpopulated and the resource depletion will collapse civilization in a matter of a few short decades. I was personally, this is to my shame, I was personally involved in some way of this in the planning stages. I attended a Club of Rome meeting at the Flinders University in 1972, where the globalist plan was discussed to reduce the world population and reduce the demand on the world's resources. That is, to save the planet for themselves. So this has been going on a long time. That's 50 years nearly. Even if the planet is overpopulated, and I'm not saying it is, and we are consuming too many resources, orchestrating such a gruesome and murderous power grab in response to a looming crisis demonstrates that they have nothing but the utmost contempt for their fellow man. To those who are participating in this disgusting farce without understanding what they are doing, we have one word for you: stop. You are causing irreparable harm to your country and to your fellow citizens, and this applies to most countries around the world. To those who may hear this warning and have full knowledge and understanding of what they are doing and how it will unjustly harm millions of innocent people, I have one thing to say to you who are committing these crimes: God will damn you to hell. You will not succeed in destroying our freedoms. You will not have your new world order. Your great reset will fail. We will make certain of that. We have God on our side, and He has already told us that He wins in the end. And you cannot defeat God. To the rest of us who are victims in this crime, I say, do not lose hope. You have the Creator of the universe on your side. We may suffer for a little while. We may suffer for a little while, but God has told us that He will defeat all evil and send the perpetrators to hell. Be reassured, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. We're not crazy. All these people here can't all be crazy at the same time. They're the ones that are crazy. Don't let fear rule your life. You are indeed free. That freedom was given you by the living God, not by earthly rulers. Not by Marxist Mark or any of them. Just put your trust in His Son, Jesus Christ, and no Luciferian dictator can hurt you. Jesus was crucified on a cross, but rose again 3 days later in victory. I mean, that's pretty tough going. He actually died, but He got victory. Death could not defeat Him. And as a result, you can have your own personal great reset, which no politician can take from you. Don't take the mark of the beast. But take the mark of God. It's one or the other. This is the stand we need to take to win this, but it may cost you your life. That's right. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.